Now that Chantal is back in Canada, weight loss surgery is front and center in her talking points. I recently had a viewer reach out to me to see if I wanted to make a video about how it actually happens in Ontario. They have a family member going through it right now, and they're in the middle of the process, and they generously shared with me their timeline. So in this video, we'll take a look at everything that's involved, why it takes so long, and what the online resources are. At the end of the video, we'll wrap up with a discussion about why this may not be the magic pill Foodie's looking for. The process begins when the patient's doctor refers them to the Ontario Bariatric Network. For our patient, this happened on July 10th of 2023. After that, they were assigned to a clinic or a center, and they had to go to orientation on July 24th. A major requirement of the program is a set of 2 meetings with a nutritionist, and prior to each one, you have to present a 5-day log of what you ate. Our patient had one on September 1st, and will have the second on December 29th. They will also undergo a sleep study for assessment for a CPAP on December 6th. On November 14th, our patient also had full blood work done, an EKG, and an abdominal ultrasound. Their appointment with the center's internist is scheduled for December 14th, and on December 21st, they'll have the first of 2 meetings with a social worker. In January, on the 29th, they'll have a gastroscopy or upper endoscopy. At least 6 months out, and as needed, they will also be tested for smoking and drugs to make sure that they've stopped both. And finally, before the surgery, they may be placed on up to a month of a liver reduction diet, which includes medical meal replacement shakes. And this is just the medical side of the requirements. The social worker will also ask about psychiatric care. Someone on psychiatric medication will need to provide a whole bunch more documentation than this. And see those final notes at the bottom? You can only miss 2 appointments during this entire time before getting kicked out of the program. If you look at the timeline like this, zoomed back a little bit, it's easy to see why the whole process takes over a year. Depending on what the internist says, you may even have to add specialist visits to this list as well. Now, let's take a moment to talk about eligibility. Specifically, Chantal is eligible because her BMI is over 40 and she has been diagnosed with hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and sleep apnea. Over the course of the process, she can be deemed ineligible with evidence of current drug or alcohol dependency, recent major cancer, or untreated or inadequately treated psychiatric illness. Do you see where this is all leading? Before the surgery, Chantal would find herself under the care of all of these different people. She would have to make and keep all of her appointments with them. In addition to the diagnostic tests and exams, she would also have to undergo lots of education sessions, usually in a group format, maybe in person or online. Additionally, while she's waiting for all of her exams and lab work, she has to keep herself healthy enough to be able to withstand the surgery. With her history of asthma and her current state, I'm sure the pulmonary function test will come into play. So now let's go ahead and finish up with a discussion on why this isn't a magic pill. First off, it takes a really long time to go through the process. During that time, you need to stop smoking, using non-prescription, non-medically supervised cannabis. You have to stop drinking alcohol, consuming caffeine, and carbonated beverages. Oh, and no illicit drugs either. They can test you at any time. So think about it. Foodie has to find an apartment, get herself established with a doctor who can make the referral, and then begin working on all of this, somehow while maintaining her weight or even trying to lose a little. Based on what we've seen so far, both in Canada and on her travel days, Foodie's outlook doesn't look that great. She's definitely thrown her coity doctor's advice right out the window. So will a Canadian medical team be able to get through to her? Drop me a line in the comments and let me know what you think about all of this. I'd love to hear from you.